You notice how in the recent years, most people don't talk about personal branding the way that they used to. And I think that there's a very specific reason for this more than anything. And just before I go any further, if you're the type of person that doesn't want this backstory, it's YouTube. There's chapters beneath this. Go to the part where we talk about the 4 steps that I'm going to get into. But I think that there's a little bit of important context as to, where personal brand started, where we're at now, and I think really where we're going, because it's still going to be relevant either way. So I was in Clubhouse a few years back, and I was talking with someone, and they said, hey, my dad used to be a personal speaker in the 70s, and, now that we're talking about personal brand and everything, I asked him, was there such a thing in the 70s when you were developing your quote personal brand? And it's interesting because he said that they never talked about it, but it was more or less building your name and the credibility behind your name, which is really all branding is, right? It's just the credibility that we build behind certain things. And so personal brand in the last few years was a really, really big topic. But then with the rise of the influencer, with the rise of, social media and reels and everybody being out there, and I think that right now we have, I would say 70 to 80% market penetration with people who treat reels as regular posts. Like people would take a long time to create regular posts in the past. Now everybody's creating reels. And so there's a really big push for people to have these quote personal brands, but it gets a little confusing because if you have a business, it's like, where do I have the business brand? Where do I have the personal brands? How do they collide? And ultimately, how does it help me? So I think that we have to start with the most basic part and concept of this, which is the personal brand. How do you build one? And then eventually, maybe in another video, we could talk about how that collides with your business brand to be able to help it grow. And so, look, the first thing that we're going to do is, for number one, a few years back, I was speaking with a guy named Rocky Garza, and he told me, like, if you really want to identify yourself, you're going to do one thing, and I need you to look at this list of words and pick 5 words that really resonate with you. And then we're going to go a little bit deeper. For me, I think that when you're starting a personal brand, you're going to pick 3 words that really resonate with you, that describe you, who you are, and how you want to be perceived. And so, look, I pulled up a list right here from, what is this? I just literally looked up Google list of positive descriptive words. And so you guys can see right there. And I didn't go into any website or anything. This is the AI powered version. But you have bright, you have adventurous, considerate, courageous, creative, diligent. My friend Israel would love that one. Empathetic, ambitious. I love the word ambitious, so that one really resonates with me. Cheerful, faithful, witty, adaptable, affable, affectionate, amazing. And I'm going to keep going on so you guys can see. Energetic, exquisite, generous, helpful. There's so many different things that you can use to describe yourself. When I was 25, I wanted people to know that I was a go-getter. I wanted people to know that if you sent something to me, that I was going to get it done. But at the same time, that I was somebody that you could count on, that wasn't just young for young's sake, right? So the 3 that resonated with me back then was professional young hustler. And I think that pretty much said everything. It said, I'm young enough to have the energy to get it done. I'm professional, though, so you can count on me. And I'm a hustler, so I'm going to go above and beyond for whatever it is that you need. Those were the words that described me. What are the words that describe you? Go ahead and drop them down in the comments. Let us know what they are. It's one thing to have them. It's another thing for people to see them. And so that way you hold yourself accountable to these things, okay? By the way, I'm gonna if you guys find value in these videos that I do, if you guys could drop a like, subscribe, and especially when it comes time to comment, these comments really mean a lot because it lets me know that you guys are putting these exercises in practice, that they're actually helpful to you. Okay, so with that, let's move on to number 2. This is the visual cues and the persona that you're going to create. The persona that you're going to create takes a little bit of time, so I don't want you to stress yourself out so much about it. But what are the visual things that people are going to see about your persona, about this brand, about this personal brand that you're creating, that are going to let them know that something has changed? Now, most people might be like, oh, my mindset has changed. Well, that's one thing. But when you think about Steve Jobs, you really don't think about his mindset. I mean, you might think about like the Apple and the iPhone and everything, but most people think about, the little no hair he had, the same outfit that he wore, and the glasses, right? Like so there's visual cues that you put into this persona, and what are yours going to be? Such as, like there's a little bit of this going on, the black suit. What are the visual cues that are going to allow people to know that something has changed about you? And so again, I want you to take, this isn't something that you can just write down in the comments, but maybe there's something that you've been thinking about. There's Carlos Munoz, Master Munoz. If you look him up, when he first started, he would wear all the colorful blazers everywhere he went. He would have like bright red ones. He would have some with like graffiti on them. I think he had some that like were painted on. So everywhere he would go, he would have these visual cues. So there's a lot of different things that you can put into like the glasses that you wear, wearing only one color. You can have a specific type of shoe, jewelry, whatever it is. People will have those visual cues to let them know that something has changed about you. And so then at that point, what you want to do is, for number 3, is you have so many different platforms that you can choose from. Okay. This could be offline. This could be like networking, and then that's why the visual cues matter so much, because if you choose an all offline approach and nothing with digital, then at that point, like, it really does fall a lot on the visual cues. So you can have an offline approach. You can have social media. That's LinkedIn. That's Instagram. That's Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, or X, we should call it, Threads. And then finally, there's PR. Going on news station, things of that nature. Getting on vlogs. And then getting press for what it is that you're doing. And another alternative, you can start writing a book, right? Like, you can have a book that launches that personal brand as well. And the reason that we're doing all these things is just so that you guys understand that perception is really what people base what they believe about you. So whatever you put in front of them, they are bound to believe. Now, there's some people that are going to be skeptics. We call those haters, right? That say, I like the old version of you. This is what I'm going to choose to believe, even though you're trying to show me something new. So if you look at someone like, before we move on to number 4, if you look at someone like Tesla and Edison, Nikola Tesla, Thomas Edison, even though Tesla had discovered a better version of electricity, which was AC, alternating current, Edison said that, hey, you know what? That's crap. It's dangerous, and my stuff, DC current, direct current, is a lot better. If you look at the way that incoming power works, the current, AC current, actually flows both ways, and it's high voltage, so it allows you to go further runs when it comes to like putting power from point A to point B than DC current. The reason that DC current was seen as better is because it's seen as safer, because it is low voltage, right? 1 ohms, 120 can shock the hell out of you, can cause like a lot of permanent damage if you stay there, right? DC current is low voltage, but it has its limits and restrictions. We know Thomas Edison because of the way that this guy marketed himself, the way that he positioned that product. Nikola Tesla, we are starting to know more about him, especially because of the brand Tesla. And we're not here to get political and talk about whether we hate the brand or not. But because of the brand Tesla, we are starting to know more about this person. I don't know about you guys. In history, in class, I would learn about Thomas Edison. Even in Southern California, the power company is actually called Edison. So there's things like that of that nature. If you look at people like Paddy the Baddy, right? Like the UFC fighter, he has the bowl cut. When we're talking about visual cues and persona, you could see that like all these things just mesh into each other, okay? So pick the platforms, pick the persona, the visual cues, the 3 words, and then finally you're going to need distribution, which is kind of like these things that we talked about, the platform. But you're going to need a hub to have that distribution. This is your website. This is a vlog. This is, a Shopify store. You can have it be Instagram and Linktree. But you have to have somewhere that when people find out about you, now they can start seeing all the different links, the photos, the credibility, the people that you do collabs with. Have you been on the news? There's so much info that's going to go into this personal brand that you should right now start be thinking, how can I have a hub that I can put everything in so that once I am found, people can find everything. And that way your credibility doesn't just go like this, right? There's this thing called the hockey stick effect, which goes like this and then it goes straight up. Most people have that because, they found one article and then, I didn't know you did this and this and this. But what you really want is you want everybody to find it so that way you shoot up as soon as everybody finds you. So if you're going to start a personal brand, this is the way that I would do it. There's 4 steps that we mentioned. Let's go through them. 3 words that describe you, the way that you want to be known, the visual cues, the persona you're going to create slowly over time, the platforms, whether that be social, offline, PR, whatever you choose, and then finally a distribution hub so that way when you are found, people know exactly what you're doing. I hope this video helped. If you have any feedback for me, I'd love to hear it. If these videos are helping, I'd love to hear it as well. If you don't like me, drop that hate in the comments as well. Hope you guys enjoyed this. I'll catch you on the next video.